Today, we're going to be talking about The Darkest Hour as well as Molly's Game. So stay tuned.
Welcome to The Real Review.
Welcome to The Real Review, sponsored by Parametric and Lazy Ape Studios, where you get some of the latest happenings, real thoughts, and perspectives in the world of film and television. I'm here with Matt, soon to be no longer living where he's at. Hey.
Yeah.
And who am I?
True story.
Yeah.
Everybody, I'm here with Joel Alexa da Voodoo Donut Cunningham.
Alexa da Voodoo. It was very good. It was very tasty. My first time having a voodoo donut out in L.A.
Oh, yeah.
By Universal City, doing the City Walk thing, and very, very tasty.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend it.
Just a giant piece of like awesome cake.
It was. I felt bad, so it was I'll explain why I felt bad in a second, but it was a regular plain donut, but with chocolate topping, with Oreo, and then peanut butter drizzle over top, just like insanity. It was basically a dessert.
Sounds lovely. Was it filled with anything?
No filling.
Okay,
that would have been probably too much.
No such thing as too much.
So my friend was there, and he wanted to get a donut, but he wasn't hungry at the moment, so he's like, I'll order one online. And I'm like, are you sure they do that? And he's like, oh, everybody does the online ordering. And so we're like on our way back to Phoenix, and one of my friends was like, well, we should look that up and see if they order them online. So we look, and they actually say right on the website, we've tried shipping, and it doesn't really work. So and I was like, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, we were doing the wah, 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 wah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but
That's
anyway.
hilarious.
Why don't we get into a little bit talking about the podcast?
Totally.
Yeah, why don't we give the listeners some ways to get connected?
Y'all, you can get connected with us a number of different ways. One is our website, and that's realreviewmedia.com. You can actually connect with all of our social media pages and emails and newsletters and all that stuff right there from that site. Social media, we have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, which is at Real Review Media. And then our YouTube channel, which we've been doing some like trailer reactions and some of the vidcast stuff like you're watching right now on there, which is youtube.com/therealreview. And you can email us at realreviewmedia@gmail.com, and bam, that's how you do that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So today, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about Darkest Hour, Molly's Game.
Dun, dun, dun.
I was on LA. Actually, I was watching a premiere of a film
Okay.
for it's the Funko documentary called Making Fun.
Making Fun,
I don't want to be too critical,
Okay.
but I will say,
There's no NDAs with you right now. You can talk about it.
yeah, there was no signed
Okay,
NDAs
cool.
or anything. I will say it was a director's cut, so
Okay.
I'm going to give them a little bit of like a maybe things will change.
Okay.
But I feel like, and this isn't just me, this is actually a more of a measure of how good or bad I think it was. I feel like I could have done better
Ooh.
making it. So, and I mean, I do production for a living. I've done
Yeah, you're better at
documentaries
it
and stuff.
than I am.
But
so
I mean, there
that's-
was a lot of things I was like, really good. The content was good, but shot selection, framing, some of the shots were underlit. There was focus issues. There was
That's
I
weird.
could see camera wire or like wires
What?
from mics, and
What?
they had like some framed shots where you like just cutting off like their eyes, and it was just crazy stuff. So
Okay.
yeah, but interesting time out there. So why don't we get into it? Why don't we start off talking about the movie that we both got a chance to see?
Yes.
Correct, which is Darkest Hour. This is a film which recently has been nominated
Right.
for a bunch of different awards,
Yeah.
and I think it's actually leading the pack in a lot of ways. Sort of.
Kind of. Shape of
some
Water
areas.
is still ahead of everything else,
Right.
but in a lot of ways, this movie is ahead of the pack for
Yes.
sure.
And so, what were your general thoughts getting into it since you had a chance to see it?
Well, just in case you're kind of unaware, this is it's about Winston Churchill and kind of everything involving that happened with Dunkirk and the events leading up to that month, basically. And so during the early days of World War II, the fate of Western Europe hangs on the newly appointed British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, who must decide whether to negotiate with Hitler or fight on against incredible odds.
Fight on, V!
So-
Or as he does it, this is inappropriate. I guess.
Yeah. Which he thinks is comical in the
Yeah.
movie. Anyways,
I thought it was pretty funny.
yeah, it was good. So, Gary Oldman, Kristen Scott Thomas, Ben Mendelsohn, Lily James. First time I've seen Ben Mendelsohn in a role where he's not like slightly villainous,
Right.
and I enjoyed that.
Yeah. He kind of started a little
a
bit.
little bit, but no,
Yeah.
not really.
But his character, as far as like historical accuracy, I think that was pretty accurate. But additionally, he's a beloved
Right.
like king
Yeah.
in London, in England.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
first of all, Gary Oldman, fantastic
Mm-hmm.
as Winston Churchill.
Was a beloved king. He's dead now. So
Yes,
sorry.
yes, exactly. I'm glad you clarified.
Yes.
I thought Gary Oldman was fantastic. I think he's definitely deserved of the Oscar nomination he got.
Yeah.
And and I've said this before, and I feel like this is they did exactly what they needed to do in this movie by not focusing on too much. Whereas we talked last week how the Post, they focused on too much with Meryl Streep's character.
Yep.
Where this one was basically him. They talked about Dunkirk. You didn't ever really see it though.
No.
But they talked about it and kind of all the stuff that happened with it. Like this movie, I feel like is perfect to go with Dunkirk. Like they go together really well. And but this in itself, I thought it focused on all the right things. The acting was really well done. Ben Mendelsohn, I was actually surprised because normally when I see him, I just kind of like, he's going to be a bad guy. I don't really, but I love that. 2 scenes. One of my favorite ones. It's not spoiling the movie. This is all historical. So how much am I really spoiling? But it's basically there's a scene that he has with the king and they're talking and basically kind of being real with each other.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie. Another one was when he's on board with the train with people at the end. But really, really powerful stuff. And what's really interesting about this movie is I initially kind of felt, because Winston Churchill, he did a lot of really amazing things. He did a lot of really amazing things, and he was an incredible guy, but he was also very like brash and kind of rude and off-putting in a lot of ways. And they demonstrate it right off the get-go in the movie. Yeah. And at first I'm like, they kind of do that right off the bat, and I was kind of like, oh, he's kind of a gnarly guy, he's curmudgeon-y and kind of like, and but at the same time, you learn about him throughout the process of kind of how he is, why he is the way he is, and all that, and they really earn your respect for him as time goes throughout the film. And I really appreciated that, because right off the get-go, I was like, I don't know if I can get on board with this guy right now, So
agreed.
Yeah.
Well, I think it gave him a very intelligent and realistic place to grow to.
Yeah.
Because he's stepping in this film as the prime minister, and he's never operated in that capacity. And for the most part, he's always been like a military dog. He's all about fight, and coming into this world of, like, he's obviously a part of the parliament, but he's never been this person that had to lead, the party. In a sense, he's respected very heavily because of his military wins and his military abilities, but he's never been looked at as like this political figurehead. So I think as much as the film was a story of him sort of winning in Dunkirk and not winning, but like, overcoming the issues that were faced in Dunkirk. The film was also about him as a person having to learn how to sort of soften some of those rougher edges, be a person that people can not only just listen to because of like dictatorial, like go do that, but also a person that people can respect and look up to as a leader. And so that was really interesting to me, because I was almost in a sense expecting, I talked to a couple people, one in particular that had mentioned sort of their thoughts and feelings on the movie, because it's been out for a little while. Yeah. And they had said that they really felt like they spent so much of the time making Winston Churchill into this almost like godlike figure. And I really didn't get that sense.
I didn't either.
You really get moments of...
Because right at the get-go, I was like, me?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know about him.
Yeah, I mean, they start off the film with him basically being a jerk. Yeah. I mean, to lessen the verbiage there, like soften the verbiage, he was being a jerk to Lily James, which... I'm a huge, and I didn't know she was in this movie, but I'm a huge Lily James fan. I mean, if I could ever meet her, I'd be like,
declared,
oh my gosh.
Declared.
Yeah, I think
your love for her.
Yeah, but like, he basically treats her like really awfully, and I don't care. It could have been any person, like, but you put anybody in there, and he treated them really awfully to the point where she starts crying, and you're like immediately like, wow, this guy's a jerk, and he kind of has to like eat crow a bit. Yeah, his wife comes and's like, look, you're being a jerk, and you get a sense then that like, wow, this is a guy that still has some growth that he needs to take on. And you really get a sense of him going to that place. So yeah, and I agree with what you're saying as well, about it being a straightforward story, that they weren't trying to go into too much. They weren't trying to go into too much of like, the struggles that his wife was having, which I'm sure she was having plenty, and the struggles that Lily James was having, which I'm sure she had plenty, and the struggles of like, they weren't doing that. They were really making it first and foremost about his story, and with little bits and pieces of the things that were surrounding that. And I thought that was really intelligently done and really well done. I will say, weirdly, in my head, because I've seen The Crown and watched it all the way through, there was this like internal battle
with John Lithgow,
of like who I would have liked to rather have seen in this role. And I will say, personally, I prefer the John Lithgow.
Okay.
I don't know why.
I haven't seen a lot of The Crown, so I don't really know a lot.
He did an amazing job.
Okay.
I think he really got that gruffness and that like, but there was something about just John Lithgow's persona or tact or ability to almost show the pained side of the character, where in this movie it was kind of a joke to me how it's like every scene, and they kind of made a joke, but like every scene he's like smoking a big cigar and has a drink in hand and does have significant health implications.
Right.
You know, and John Lithgow's portrayal was like, this is a very intelligent man who's got a lot of pride, but has pretty significant health related kind of issues because of probably the way he treats his body. Does his stuff. So that, I was like, he still did an amazing job. Gary Oldman definitely did an awesome job, but I think, John Lithgow to me just
I don't have that kind of comparison. I have that perspective, so I don't really.
Yeah.
I was like, Gary Oldman was awesome. Yeah.
I'll be interested. I think you can get a really good sense just watching the first season. And I think that was also the nice thing about the film is it had really touching moments of humor that were kind of sprinkled throughout. I mean, you talk about like the V thing, which made it feel relatable and real, and it wasn't like it's just this straightforward suspense drama of like they're gonna get the people off the beaches.
The normal people like seeing them like on the train or something like that, being like the one guy just staring at him like sitting next to me, like what?
Yeah, and I thought that was really funny too. I thought that was a bit forced. I'm not gonna lie. The train scene was a bit kind of like, I don't know. I mean, it was cool, but they went too far with it when he started, like, oh, tell me about your life, young man.
So apparently, I don't have so here's the thing. I don't have a lot of issues with this movie, and I did a lot of research after the fact. Apparently, the train scene, there are a little bit of some liberties taken because there's no.
I've heard there's a few.
There's not a specific moment of that train scene happening, but there are a number of different accounts where he would just disappear or escape his car or whatever to just go be amongst the people.
Right.
And so I can see how that still would work to an extent. It's a creative liberty, sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, we just don't have that exact moment. I thought it was a powerful scene, though, still.
Yeah.
So
there's a couple scenes that were super powerful. That one felt a bit manipulated to me. I think the other one, though, that really felt powerful was the scene where he meets the king.
When they're like confiding in each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my favorite scene. I told you that earlier. That was hands down my favorite scene because you get to see kind of him in his brokenness,
right?
And then you have the king kind of come in, which they've been at odds the whole time, and they're just being real with each other. And then and then he's just kind of encouraging. It was, I was like, that is great.
Well, you definitely got a sense of like Churchill's at his breaking point.
Right.
Like he's past the point of
he stood alone.
Making sense.
He's been standing alone forever, and I think
can't process things. And so, sorry, what were you going to say?
No, it's fine. No, I was going to say, it's great.
And and I think for me, it was a moment where pride was kind of laid at the table and put out there or just done away with. And it was like, let's just connect as people that we're going through this thing together. Let's just relate as two people that need to support each other, and it was just very touching. And it was something that felt very real. Like I could see two people going through something like that. And I think that was the line that they kind of had to tote of, you're telling a story about one man who's obviously well-respected and well-loved, but was a flawed person. And how do you tell this in a way that doesn't, in a sense, glorify that person and make them look like this, like, oh my gosh, they have no issues, they're perfect.
Right.
But not go so to the extreme where it's just like, how did they ever become successful at anything? They just kind of stumbled into it,
Yeah.
And I thought they did an amazing job with it. And I think it was the supporting cast and the stories that were intertwined in there that really made it interesting and compelling.
Yeah.
So overall, couple. Did we say negatives?
I don't have a lot to say about it. I mean, there are some other things I wish I would have seen more of. Like, it's not necessarily that I felt like something should have been taken away from the movie, more so than I felt like I wanted to see some elaborations on some certain events that were happening. In the film or that happened in the world, but in the film, like I wanted to see some different things like that. So I felt like I was longing to see some more stuff.
Yeah.
But nothing that I felt like, take it away,
Weirdly, as much as I loved that straightforward nature of it, I felt like there could have been a few more scenes of seeing sort of the impacts of things. We got one or two
that's
scenes.
kind of what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the scene where we got like the overhead shot of the I guess the building or the castle or whatever
Right.
it is being bombed. A couple more scenes of that type stuff would have been interesting because I think it would have made it a bit more
impact, and that's kind of that fine line. I think it was great that it was a separate movie. That's that fine line, though. I think that people and directors and screenplay authors and they what they do is they want to include so much that this one did a great job focusing on the one thing, but they could have dabbled a little more in showing some of that extra stuff.
A little bit, and that might be there, and they just cut it for time's sake.
Sure.
I think the only other very sort of minor, like very minor type gripe that I had about it was some of the speeches that he was making.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that it was hard to make them out, but it lacked emphasis. I felt like there was almost like a musical like swelling or building that kind of needed to happen a couple times.
Oh, okay. So
Like where
the score,
his famous speech of "We will fight on the beaches, we will fight in the air." It just felt like a bit like "We will fight in the beaches, we will fight in the air, we will." It just felt like there wasn't that. And I know that sounds like super nitpicky, but I'm trying to be nitpicky here because it's a great movie.
Sure.
So that was just not there for me as well.
No, I gotcha.
Yeah, but overall,
Cool.
I really liked it.
You got a rating for it?
I do. What's yours first?
We'll go with me first.
Yes,
yeah. I'm going to go 92.
92.
Yeah.
All right. I'm close. I'm giving you a 91.
Hey.
A minus.
Cool, man.
So, awesome.
I like that. We agreed on that one.
Then let us move into our next film. Let's
do it.
Which I have not had a chance to see, which I wanted to see.
Yes.
It's a film called Molly's Game.
Molly's Game.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this movie. I really like this movie.
Cool. It's good sign.
Yes, very good sign.
Not nominated, really.
Not nominated. This is my
Wow.
biggest issue with this year's nominations. I feel like Molly's Game totally got overlooked.
And Disaster Artist, which I understand
and
why, because
yes.
of James Franco stuff, but it was such a good film.
Yeah. So Molly's Game, let me just give you the breakdown of it first. So, true story of Molly Bloom, an Olympic class skier who ran the world's most exclusive high stakes poker game and became an FBI target. Written and directed by Aaron Sorkin. This is his directorial debut. Jessica Chastain, Idris Elba, Kevin Costner, Michael Cera, Jeremy Strong, a number of other people. But this movie deserves way more attention than anything it's got. It hasn't got any attention. I don't think it was nominated for anything.
I don't think so.
Jessica Chastain, in my opinion, should have been nominated for Best Actress. She carries the movie. Fantastic. Idris Elba should have been nominated for Supporting Actor. Every movie I see him in, I didn't see him do the one with Kate Winslet though. The mountain. What?
Yeah,
I
The
didn't
Mountain
see that
Between
one.
Us.
Yeah. I didn't see that one. But
Which, is that a Game of Thrones reference, or is that?
yeah, I don't know. But it's basically everything that he is in. He is so dang good. He has two of my favorite scenes that happen in the movie are involving him and just what he does. And like, he's got so much like charm and charisma too, kind of about him. He's not just like this like gruff guy. He's basically a lawyer. And anyway, so I didn't know this was a true story until after the movie. I was
really?
I was like, oh, this is a true story. I was like, wow.
I don't know how fully, but I know it's based on a true story for sure. Yeah.
Right. I did not know that. So I was just impressed at the end. I was like, wow, this is really good. And so it's got that classic, one thing I liked about it too, is it's got that classic Aaron Sorkin dialogue. So, he's always been known for the way he writes things and the kind of the high level that he writes things at.
Right.
I will say there are several times in the movie that I really had to concentrate on what everybody was saying because I was like, whoa, this is happening way too fast. What are we saying right now?
Yeah.
But it felt real.
Yeah.
It felt like it was real. And I think that's what a good screenwriter can do is write sharp dialogue that's real and doesn't just feel like it's fast for the sake of seeming to be important or like it is intelligent, but maybe not be. So it was really good in that respect. The only negative I had coming out of this movie is they could have ended it with kind of the outcome of the trial and everything that, whatever happened. But they ended it with kind of this like family dynamic in kind of roundabout way, because they started off the movie with the fact that she's an Olympic skier. They kind of go back to that at the end, and I'm a little murky on what the point of that was to make me feel at the end.
Gotcha.
I'm not entirely sure yet. I'm still processing it. But that aside,
satisfied? Like you weren't satisfied with it, or?
Well, no, because I'm not satisfied maybe because I don't understand it. Like it has to do with who she is as a person, kind of her self-discovery. That's what I'm getting from it, but I'm not entirely sure. Like, okay, she's kind of realizing who she is from this, what they're showing here at the end.
Yeah.
But really, just really, really well done. I mean, outside of just the ending, I was really, really impressed with this movie. Michael Cera is in it, which is interesting. I haven't seen him in a long time in anything.
He's done some kind of indie type
Yeah.
minor roles and stuff.
He was really good, kind of a different character than I think what we're used to seeing him being, but
Was he a jerk?
yes and no.
Okay, because
Yeah.
that's kind of, we'll say that tends to be his character. He's kind of a jerk.
When I
and
think of
everything.
Michael Cera, I always
Yeah.
think of Arrested Development and coins, you
Yeah.
know, from Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, that's
But,
the one role he's definitely not a jerk.
Right,
but
right,
in
right.
every other film, yeah. Sorry.
no, it's fine.
Minor thing.
Really like this movie. I'm just really disappointed the Academy is not giving it any love because it was really, really well done, in my opinion. There's kind of this father-daughter relationship too happening with Kevin Costner and Jessica Chastain, and it kind of comes together at the end in kind of an odd way a little bit, but it's satisfying.
Yeah.
To me it was anyways.
Costner's coming back, man.
Yeah,
He's been popping
seriously.
up in all this stuff. Yeah.
Seriously. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm actually going to give it a 90.
Wow.
Yeah, I really, really liked it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Any other things you want to talk about?
No,
That
not
was pretty
really.
quick.
I mean, it was quick. I don't have a lot to say about it. I thought, I can't overemphasize that. I just disappointed because Jessica Chastain was awesome. Hopefully, she'll be joining the Muschietis for It Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
She's gone on record saying that, but she's awesome in this film. She carries the weight of the film on her shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And then Idris Elba, I don't know why he didn't get any love for this either. Is like there's one scene in particular where he just goes on this rant, and I was like, "This is incredible!"
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
You know. Anyways, it was great. It was a good movie.
What movie, and so this is maybe a little controversial, if you had to swap, like take that movie out and put this movie in.
The Post.
The Post?
Yeah, I liked it a lot better than
That
Post.
Post. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a couple films that I've yet to see that for the noms.
Yeah,
We'll see if I get a chance to check them out. Some of them I don't know if I'm going to see.
yeah.
There's the one about the relationship with the young boy, and I'm not like up on that. I don't know all
Call
the
Me by Your
details.
Name.
Call Me by Your
Yeah.
Name. It just does not appeal to me.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it either.
Then
but
there's let's see, I saw Lady Bird. I have not seen Shape of Water. I'll try and check that out at some point. But
yeah, It's weird. I guess I'm just not seeing stuff in it that a lot of other people are because I'm not
Yeah.
huge on. I don't know why it's getting all the nominations.
everybody talks about the cinematography.
It
That's the big-
looked fantastic.
Right.
I understand that 100%, but everything else I'm not entirely sure. I wouldn't.
Right.
It's not in my best films of the year list. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyways, that's it for me.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Matt. Thank you for
You
giving
got it.
the explanation. So
Got it.
we'll be coming at you next week with some more films to talk about. For now, some ways to get connected to the podcast if you don't already know. Matt mentioned these in the beginning. We've got our Facebook, which is facebook.com/Real Review. We've also got our website, which is realreviewmedia.com. We also have our Instagram and our Twitter. You can check those out both at Real Review Media. And we would love to hear from you, hear your thoughts and perspectives, maybe hear your thoughts on the noms, maybe something about why you feel like Shape of Water does deserve
The nom noms.
to win, or why the Post was in there versus Molly's Game,
Yeah,
something like
I
that.
don't
So
know.
yeah, go ahead, shoot us an email. Our email address is realreviewmedia@gmail.com.
Do it.
And anything else, Matt?
No, that's it.
For the show. All right. Well, it's been real.
It's been real.